Thank you, Deacon Teresa, for introducing me, and I'm so grateful to virtually be able to speak this month at Mount Zion's Young Adult and Youth Celebration. And I think for me, a topic that I'm always and have always been passionate to talk about that is more relevant now than ever is the importance of education for everyone, but especially for young men and women and people of color in this country. Because for me, education has really been my passport to the future. And as Malcolm X would say, education is the passport to the future. And for me, I firmly believe in that as well. I think that in these unprecedented times where so much of learning has shifted out of the physical school buildings and to the computer or to the phone, the tablet, or these other online media, I think it's really important for us, not only as a community or as a country, to reevaluate how we're educating the future of our country, but what we're doing to make sure that no one is falling behind. Because it's not enough to just, you know, give every student access to internet. That's a great place to start, but that would be assuming that we're all starting on the same playing field. And as it's become clear to me, being in college for the past almost 4 years now, we're not all starting from the same playing field, and there is such a great disparity in resources. So I've come to also realize that a lot of the time, that disparity in resources isn't something that you can easily fix, whether it's for yourself or for a community at large. And as much as people will try to help you, at the end of the day, you have to take your education into your own hands, and you have to be your biggest advocate, your own biggest cheerleader. And I think, especially as a young woman of color, as someone from Newark, now in Cambridge, in Massachusetts, if I hadn't advocated the most on my behalf, to get to where I am today, I wouldn't be here. And I think more than just being one's own advocate, especially as a young person, especially as a young man, woman, or person of color in this country, I think more important than that even is to build up each other, to build up one another, because so many times have I seen, young people of color working against each other. I've seen, particularly, for example, when I was in high school, you would hear people say things about, oh, she's darker than me, or oh, his hair looks a certain way, or oh, your shoes don't look like this or like that. And it's easy when you're in high school amidst all that to get caught up in those sorts of interactions. But I think more important than anything, we have to be our own biggest advocates. So not only you for yourself, but you also have to build up other young people of color, especially other young people of color around you, because historically the barriers to higher education have seemed almost insurmountable for so many people of color in this country, but it is possible. And that's not to say that, there aren't Black scientists, Black lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs. We exist, but the barriers to entry sometimes can feel so overwhelming that a lot of us don't make it. And I think that's a shame, because I feel that education really is the best way to build a better future for not only yourself, but also your family, your friends, your community. And I think really that once we individually and then collectively can overcome these barriers, there's no telling what our youth can do, what we can do. And that's really been something that's pushed me into higher education, into pursuing higher education, like going to college and eventually to medical school. Because for me, I've seen directly what the hard work of going to school has done and will continue to do, not only for myself and future opportunities open to me, but also for my family and for those around me. And in that sense, I really do think that higher education is the gateway to a better future. And it doesn't just have to be going to a 4-year college or even a 2-year college. There are so many different pathways to higher education. You can go to trade school, you can self-learn topics like computer science, you can go to tech school, vocational school, start your own business. Education shouldn't be confined to the classroom. And I think that realization, together with the realization of just how important education is what has driven not only me, but so many other powerful, beautiful, smart, young people of color to build a better future, not only for themselves, but also for their families and their communities. And I really do hope that with my short speech, that someone out there listening to this will maybe realize that, I should push harder in high school or middle school, or maybe I should consider going to trade school after all, because I do think and I do stress the importance of higher education. And the more people realize this, I think, the more elevated a community can become.